And people say, no, no, McKinsey, we don't spend anything on marketing. But sorry, they spend a big amount on marketing, but their marketing is different. For example, in Nestle, any brand presentation has to have a AI component. That the person who's presenting has to say, I've used AI for this. Marketing teams in even the top Fortune 500 companies are thinking in a very silo fashion. So, can you, for example, for 1 month work on a completely different product category? And then you may get some idea there, and then you can apply onto your
One
product.
big mistake marketers should make early in their career.
Bet on a crazy idea. If it fails, it fails. If it succeeds, you become the superhero.
Hello, fellows. Welcome to the next episode of Jagged with Just Ravi. Subscribe to my channel for conversations at the edge with thought leaders from the branding, marketing, and the business world. Conversations that ignite new ideas, ideas with rough and sharp edges. Hello, Ambi. We meet again. And it's great to have you on my show.
Yeah. Thank you once again for inviting me onto your show. And I look forward to having a fun conversation with you always. I mean, someone from the world of marketing, advertising is always fun to talk.
Thank you. Absolutely. So, everyone, this is the book.
This is not a typical marketing, it's not a one-page marketing plan kind of a book. It's more reflective, a lot of different things. And I have two chapters which, with a lot of content, which you don't find in any marketing book. The, the topic of negotiation, you may not find it in mentioned many times in Kotler, for example, or communication, one-on-one, one-to-many communication. You'll not find it mentioned in your typical marketing books.
It's so exhaustive and yet so simple because he's, you know, uh, the mixology and hence great taste. And it's been served in a way that you're relishing it and you're understanding it. So, Ambi, 5 myths of branding, 4 archetypes, and 5 Pentagon process. And you have covered the nooks and corner of brand building. How should we do it? Suppose I take one archetype and I ask you, what do you think is the challenge before this? And how, what are the most critical steps of the 5 step process that typically they would not do? Howsoever you want to cover this, we have a Bhopal masala maker.
The book has kind of presented, I think, three or four different archetypes. I think in the chapter on, I think, branding, where this comes. Uh, if you take someone like someone from Bhopal who makes masalas, and he says, so what is he thinking? He's thinking that, look, I am in Bhopal, I'm making this masala. I can't even think of branding. I can't think of spending big money like Badshah or MDH or whoever. They use Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan, and they do big advertising on TV. So yeah, branding is not for me. It's too expensive. One first myth. It's too complicated. It's meant for big people. It's not meant for me. Uh, and do I really need branding? Right. The question is, I'm selling it in my whatever town, district, whatever it is, and do I really need branding? So I think the first thing we have to say is, look, Mr. Bhopal Masala Man, whether you like it or not, you are a brand, right? So you're selling it in a packet. People are going and buying it. Maybe they don't even know your full name, right? So first thing is that what is your name, right? What do people call you? You may have a long name, Banwari Das, Ramlal Das, Vittal Das, right? Now, no one is going to call you Banwari Das, Ramlal Das, Vittal Das. Okay, so what are people calling you? Are they calling you uh, BMV? Then that is your brand. If they call you Vittal, then that's your brand, right? So, one, decide what is your brand. Second, look at what you can do without any extra cost. You may have your package. Now, your package anyway is being printed. You're spending money printing it. So, can you put your brand name prominently on your packaging, right? That is not going to cost you anything extra, so it's going to cost you nothing, right? Same money. So, understand what is your brand and then decide how to put it on your packaging, which is your own thing. Then you say, look, I don't have the money to do TV. You don't need to do TV. Okay. So, first start with maybe the district in which you're distributing your product. Okay. Maybe put up some signages, put up some posters in those retail outlets. Okay. Take one town in the same district, put up the posters. In another round, don't put up posters and see over a month period, 2 month period, is there a sale difference happening? Right? Then you may say, look, I want to try a little bit more. Then, okay, take one newspaper, say Nai Dunia, right? Or Dainik Jagran. Take one edition of that newspaper and do advertising in that. Or you say, newspaper I can't afford. Okay, radio karo. Okay. Take small steps. See what can work for you. And also figure out somewhere early in the game, what are your key SKUs? I remember, this is actually based on a client came down from, very interesting story. I get a call, so and so, let's call them Rama, Rama Vilas calls me from Trichy and they tell me, look, we read your interview in the Hindu Tamil newspaper. You talked about branding. I entire conversation happened in Tamil. So he said, I did not know, branding is such a simple thing and we can do it. So I want to meet you. Where are you based? I said, I'm in Bombay. So he said, no, maybe I'll come before Diwali. We'll make a trip. So we'll come and meet you, sir. So, I mean, I said, yeah, it's okay, one of those calls. But then the old man came a month later and he spent 2 hours chatting with me. And the question I asked him was simple. First, you so-called sell 100 products, right? What is your anchor product? Is it uh, is it idli mix, or is it dosa mix, or is it sambar powder, or is it rasam powder? What is it? Take those two, three key products and promote those in some form. Instead of trying to say, I make 184 different spices and mixes, not going to work. So, same thing will apply to the Bhopal guy. So, what is your key product? What do people come and ask the shop for? And build your brand around that. Don't try and say, you know, I make 25 different, masalas in Bhopal. Not going to work. The other thing, being a Bhopal manufacturer, you could even make some tactical claims in your local area saying, from our, you know, processing plant to your house in 1 week, freshest spices, right? Uh, because MDH and Everest probably make it in Delhi or Bombay or wherever, whereas I'm making it here in MP. So I will reach it to you in 1 week's time. Stuff like that. And then build your brand. Once you build your brand, go to the next district, go to the next. I mean, I'm not talking this out of fiction. I mean, all of you know of a brand called Balaji. How did Balaji start? Balaji Wafer actually started by making wafers for a movie theater. I think in near Baroda, Surat. And then they expanded to that town and they went around town by town, town by town, town by town. And they become almost a national brand. I think they are still
Hmm.
not national. They basically sell in, I think, West and a bit in the North.
Hmm.
But they're a very successful brand. I think there are 100 Balajis waiting to happen, right? But they all start with this thing like, अरे ब्रांड तो बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, अमिताभ बच्चन तो 8 करोड़ ले लेगा। अरे भाई साहब, अमिताभ बच्चन नहीं चाहिए आपको, आपको अमिताभ बच्चन का जरूरत नहीं है, right? You can do it without TV, you can do it with very less amount of money, but you got to spend it carefully.
Yeah,
That is
good.
my advice to your first archetype, the Bhopal Masala man, and it's based on a real story, so that's what is
Lovely.
interesting.
Like you were talking, Ambi, that it's also another myth is that this is going to be very long term. So I'll keep investing. When will I see the returns? Like another is the financial returns. So brilliantly, you've said that. Hello, I mean, if you start with a poster, you start with the packaging, you start selling, you start getting a feedback. And then, the investment can vary, or, so it starts from day one.
Absolutely. You can't say that it's too long term. I will not do it. Right. I was advising a brand called, they make camphor and they have this cone. They may have this camphor. So same thing. I mean, I think they crossed 100 crores already, but same thing. Start with one town, start with thing, and then slowly build it up. Don't try and boil the ocean. Don't try and launch 25 products. It will not work. Find what is your anchor product, put your money behind it, and focus on it and build that.
And in this, Ambi has covered the 5 steps: brand appraisal, definition, articulation, and of course, there'll be measurement and then expansion, which Ambi has just covered. That, then you decide what's working, what's the mixology that's working, and then you maybe customize it for another town. Then you go along. Okay, we have another lovely archetype from Ambi's book, a kid toy startup.
Kid toy startups have a different set of dynamics, right? I mean, kid toy startup will go the other way. Probably it has to think of you have to target mothers who have to buy, right? And I'm going to give something unique to them, right? And where will I get them? And this is kid toy will probably be uh, let's say a mental toy, something to stimulate the brain, blah blah blah. So therefore, you say, look, first I need to dig, I need to find out, and I will do enough, online research to find out where I can sell, and then you start selling online, and you start, there is a forget the name, it was a Hyderabad-based company which came and met me. They make these very interesting, toys meant for children. It's all educational toys, and so there are two parallel paths running. One was they will sell it as a kit to schools, right? To what you call kindergarten, Montessori schools, they were selling those, right? And that was their so-called B2B effort. And their B2C was, selling it on Amazon and selling it on those kind of things. And they said, look, we have to target these mothers. And one of the things which they found, I don't know whether they've continued, but is to look at influencers who write about children, etc., and say, look, can we get them to promote our products which are unique to their followers? So the again, start with what is your brand. I think this case it was, forget the name, it was a butterfly something. It's an interesting name they had, some butterfly wings or something like that. So uh, and they had a whole series of products like this, and they sold it in kits. They're not cheap, they're expensive, and they found that selling it through schools was taking too much time because you miss the school season, you can catch it only the next year. So then they said we want to go direct, and that is the time we were kind of brainstorming and said, can we look at influencers? Can we look at people who write about children education and go after them and start pretty seriously distributing samples and things like that and scale it up. They had, I think they were bootstrapped or they were looking at angel funding and they were going to get the money and they're going to take it. So the very different situation, right? In this kind of that, their product cannot be sold in stores because that consumer is probably buying more toys online than in stores, right? Each box was probably 200, 300 rupees, right? Made brilliantly. But so the entire strategy was who's the consumer? Let's understand what the consumer is, and then go through the same thing: appraisal, definition, articulation, and then measurement. And that's what they did. I haven't talked to them in the last 2 years, but I suppose they're doing quite well because I read about them somewhere. But the idea is that you know they, unlike the Bhopal guy, these guys knew that they had to build a brand. They also understood there is B2B and B2C. B2C, B2B gives big orders, but it takes a long time, right? And B2C is smaller orders but better value, right? I can get more return. So they were kind of straddling the two. Maybe one day they will, completely pivot onto a B2C model. So this is the second archetype. And very often, what happens is the VC, if they start coming in, they start telling them what to do. And some of the VCs are good. In fact, sometimes the VCs will say, look, you need marketing, go to Just Ravi. She will be able to give you some advice, right? or they may say, look, you need HR, so go to, whoever, Shaker is a retired HR head of one of the big companies, he'll be able to advise you. So they recommend you. Some VCs just keep troubling you, right? So which is why today a lot of startups also figured out which VC to go to. These VC you don't go to because they're going to keep asking questions without giving any suggestions. Go to the kind of VC who will ask questions, but if you're not able to answer, they'll say, okay, you don't have the answer, no problem. Go to Jasravi and she will help you sort out your advertising problem. Or go to so and so, right? And then take your call. You don't want to hire them, don't hire them, but start looking out. So a lot of startups have become smart to say, look, I need money, but I will take it from the right kind of person. I don't want to take it from, uh, maybe this company will not give me 20 crores, but this company will give me 15 crores. But with 15 crores, they will also give me names of some advisors whom I can use, right? So that's the different problem.
This was very important because this is a startup and hence a very important factor that in the mixology is, how to negotiate or navigate with VCs. What I felt is that they had a good understanding, the brand appraisal and a good understanding of their target consumer and how they buy. So the buying process, and then they did something very smart. Is like, okay, let's take mom influencers, the mom bloggers, quick credibility, captive audience, engage strong relationships, and I mean, with lesser money, you are in because they had confidence in the product, and like you're saying, the product was very good and packaged also very well, and this is a universal need of the mother. I want, I want my child to be stimulated even while he's playing. I mean, even before he's born, but that's another matter.
Ah, before he's born is right. Yeah. Remember, good old days, they used to give expecting mothers milk with saffron in it with the belief that the baby will be born fair.
This is very nice, Ambi, coming from your experience and you're taking an actual example. These are the nuances that one should hear while reading the book along with, and that will be like masala. That'll be like
Mixology, not masala. Mixology.
mixology and masala. Okay. Okay, so now we have a skeptical B2B marketer.
B2B marketers don't believe in too much in branding. They don't believe too much in brand communication. Uh, and I had early experience of this when I started my career working on a uh, company called Watson, which later became Thermax. It's a very big Pune-based company, and uh, so the first thing we asked them, they were planning to change their name. They had a collaboration with Watson, I think of UK, and the collaboration going away, and they were going to switch the company name from Watson to Thermax. Um, and and they were very worried, saying, "Look, people don't think we are very good. We get a lot of complaints. When we change the name, what is going to happen?" So the first question, as a young 1-year-old pop in the world of advertising, I said, "Look, have you talked to your consumers or talked to your customers, your current customers, your past customers?" So they say, yeah, 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 our say service engineers talk. But I said, look, your service engineer will get a kind of a biased feedback. But have you got any neutral, feedback about your customer? They said, what do you mean neutral? So this company was probably a couple of 100 crores, had not heard of market research then. Okay, I'm talking of, let's say 80, 79, 80, 81. So I said, look, there is something called market research where you get an independent person to go and talk to your customers. So can it be done? Our customers are all big engineering companies and these are purchase managers, these are operations managers. So I said, look, it can be done. Okay, it can be done. So what we'll do is we'll not say anything more. We'll bring a professional market research company to talk to you. So we contacted IMRB, and that time IMRB was being run by, Dorab Supariwala was the joint managing director. Aluwalia was also there. So they I think they came to Pune. to meet the client, and they said, look, we can do industrial market research. This is the kind of research we can do. So the client, I mean, that time the visionary client, right? I mean, there was someone called Rohit Naga, who was the managing director. So he commissioned the research, and they said we will benchmark, Wanson Thermax against Westerwork, uh, L&T, and I think one or two companies, five companies we identified, and we said we will go to your customers, we'll go to your non-customers, and do a proper survey. We did the survey. When we shared the research, they were shocked because consumers actually thought quite highly of them. In fact, their image with customers was very high, and even with non-customers, the image was just a few millimeters behind L&T, right? Which was a big shock to them. So I said, look, you tend to, then they kind of rationalize. They say, the problem is we only get complaint calls. We get a call from a customer saying the boiler is broken down, right? So we think all our boilers break down, but we don't get a call when a customer says your boiler has worked perfectly for the last 365 days. No one calls to tell us, right? So which is why we thought people rated us badly, but it's good. We are seen as good. So from there, we did the entire Thermax brand campaign, transitioned the company from Watson to Thermax. We did a campaign around their industrial products, a very well written campaign, which in fact the MD himself decided to rewrite the copy I had given him, and it went on to do very well for the company. And those days, yes, Ravi, you will appreciate. Those days, genuine campaigns used to win awards. So it actually was rated as the best corporate campaign. It got Abbey awards. It got all the other awards, which was incidental. But the thing is that this company, which was till then was not very sure what branding is, what brand communication is, became a believer. Okay, and they became a believer that yes, professional marketing, understanding customers, positioning the brand, and communicating it and measuring it is something which can be of use for a B2B company which actually sells a very complex product, in layman term complex, but in industrial term pretty simple product, boiler, right? Industrial boilers and heat exchangers and thermic fluid heaters. It's a very simple product from an industrial point of view, but for a consumer point of view, it's a very complex product. Even that company got the benefit of uh, marketing, got the benefit of branding, got the benefit of brand communication. So if they can get the benefit, anyone who's selling any kind of B2B product, whether it is a industrial product or it could be a SaaS solution, it could be a software product, all of them can benefit from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the times that you're talking about, Ambi, definitely, B2B was completely looked at as a desert, like an alien. They never thought that the decision maker is still an individual and he's still evaluating brands and he has impressions and perceptions and, there's brand image out there. Today, thought leadership has become so big, and the other day, somebody approached me for a speaking gig, and I was looking at and said, what is this company? They're doing events, huge events across different countries, and it's just like a survey analyzing kind of a company. But the image is like, oh my God, they are so high tech. They know everything. And in fact, they are trendsetters. And I was like, wow, I mean, they don't have to do specific marketing at all because they are top of mind, they're salient, and they're looked at as the best, and most cutting edge.
Yeah.
So,
So for example, take you talked about an event company, or take McKinsey. And people say, no, McKinsey, we don't spend anything on marketing. But sorry, they spend a big amount on marketing, but their marketing is different. They come out with something called McKinsey Quarterly, which used to come out every quarter, and they used to bring out a very nice printed book, which almost could envy Harvard Business Review, right? That quality writing, that kind of research. So they had something called a McKinsey Center for Research. They do a lot of research. They do a lot of white papers. That is their marketing. I mean, just marketing doesn't mean that you need to advertise in The Economist and the Time. No, you can do that by putting out position papers, doing seminars like what they were planning to do when they invited you. So things like that. So what McKinsey does is very different, but that is also marketing. We cannot dismiss saying no, no, no. McKinsey does no marketing, or Bain does no marketing, or BCG does no marketing. No, no, they do, but their marketing is very different, and that is very visible to the CXO level person.
Okay, so before Ambi, we get into the Fortune 500 CMOs, of all these other profiles, is there anything that uh, that they don't do in terms of, because if they have limited budgets, okay, let's leave the B2B. If they have limited budgets and they think, let's just start, let's be agile, let's do digital, and they start thinking in these terms of, let's get going, let's be resourceful and street smart, and they don't think branding, what can be one ingredient of the marketing mixology that they can do, thinking, putting the things together first, getting to know the consumer? What is it that absolutely non-missable ingredient, before they say, let's just put the product in the market and let's see what will happen?
Two critical ingredients. One is consumer. Who's your customer? You got to have a clear mental picture of who the customer is, right? At least for a period of time. You may then want to change it, after some period of time. You may say, no, this customer is not, but actually this customer is working out to be fine. You flip it. Otherwise, who's the customer? One, what is my brand doing for that customer? What is the job my brand is doing? What is the problem I'm solving for the customer? These two have to be very clearly articulated. And then brand, what are the guardrails I'll put for my brand? I will not do weird stuff. I will not do funny stuff. I will not do, I will not stand upside down, right? You need to put today, because of this entire moment marketing madness. Every brand wants to put out three messages a day, and anything and everything they want to ride on, which is okay for a big brand and they can get away with it. Like Amul can get away with it, but you're a small brand. You try and doing it, it's gonna you're gonna fall flat, right? So you're gonna put some guardrails on. See, I will not do this. I will do this. I will not. I will not, get into politics. I will not get into religion. I will not get into, you know. Yesterday, someone was caught in that camera. Uh,
Coldplay.
so Coldplay. So everyone now I want to make, you know, so do you want to go there? Think twice before you going there. And maybe you should not go there. It's not something which is in private space, and it's something we should not be getting into. So it depends. So you have to decide what is your guardrail and stick to that. You cannot do anything and everything. See, the problem today is a lot of brands have delegated this whole thing about uh, social media to weigh down the food chain, and something wrong happens, then suddenly right from the CEO's office someone is going to call, right? So you got to make sure that you got to do interesting stuff. That doesn't mean you got to do only boring stuff. You got to do interesting stuff, but you got to put your guardrails in place,
Yeah.
not jump around madly.
Brilliant. So, in a way, have some values that will be the foundation for your brand. And of course, it will show in the personality, but, make sure that, you don't transgress. So nicely said. Ambi, now for Fortune 500 CMO, I refer to the example that you shared on Facebook about peers, how it was supposed to be about innocence and, mother-child pure bond. And now with Nayantara, it was looking quite like a Lux ad, which was all about filmi sitaron ka, sabun. And even Lux, left that platform because it's about aap khud aap mein sitara jagaye, the star in you or something like that. So, Ambi, before you share this, I want to understand what's really happening, because in my past experience, I'm seeing some very big brands, really mass big brands, having not done any U&A in the last 10 years. There are no researches available, and they're saying, okay, there are these three, four things that we have to look at. We understand, and I was shocked. I was, because that was my favorite company. And I was like, what is really happening? And they gave me a 10-year back U&A. They said nothing much would have changed, key dynamics is same, with just the numbers inflated, etc. So Fortune 500 CMO, are there more blind spots for them? What is really happening? And, what example would you like to share? I'm all ears.
So here, I was on some CII committee, and um, I think Vipul Prakash was the CMO of Pepsi that time. So he asked me, Ambi, what are you doing? I said, look, I'm doing some brand coaching kind of stuff, doing something with Abbott and doing something with TI Cycles. So he said, Yar, can you come and, meet our team? So I said, what is to be done? He said, look, we are very good. We have got a fabulous team, but they are too much into their own box, right? So we need to get them to think outside the box. So I just want them to interact with you and see how it goes. So I did a series of, I think every month I used to go spend a day, and they said they created a team of, I think, 10, what they call uh, marketing mavericks or something like that. They created a team, worked across both food and beverages. And so I introduced them to, I mean, some of them knew everything, but yeah, I had to introduce them. Some of them had forgotten what is a brand key and how to write a positioning statement because they're doing it in the Pepsi way. So I introduced them to some of that. Behavioral economics was becoming very big, so I brought them into behavioral economics. We discussed what is called the customer decision journey. And then the interesting thing we did was we gave each of them a brand. I think that we made combination of two people, gave them a brand which had no competition with Pepsi, completely out. So now on that brand, work on that brand and think of what you can do for that brand. Take 2 months, right? And so they had to look. I gave them some basic data, but I said, look, you have to find the data yourself. You have a market research company, you have AC Nielsen, you have your media agency, find data, analyze it, and present. I think it was, and then I think some heads of marketing were sitting in the final presentation thing, and these guys made fabulous presentation. But the idea was to open up that marketing teams in even the top Fortune 500 companies are thinking in a very silo fashion. So can you, for example, for 1 month work on a completely different product category, and then you may get some idea there, and then you can apply onto your product. So that, I mean, that's a very evolved company. They applied it and they did it very well. Uh, the question you were saying is again live, which is we know the consumer. We have done so many research. You know, ah, you know, I don't need to anything. So I recently read two books, one by someone ex Pepsi and one by someone ex Unilever, both global roles, and they said, look, we have transitioned the consumer research division into what is called a consumer insights division. So the consumer research was earlier called in to solve a problem. Now, consumer research can, on their own, initiate a study. For example, I can, sitting in Unilever, I can say, look, uh, the 60 plus, the silver generation is growing very big. We don't understand them. So let me commission a big UNA study on the 60 plus generation. What products do they use? What are their satisfaction, dissatisfaction? And then later, the foods division may want it, the home care division may want it, the personal care division may want it. We'll give it to them. Stuff like that. That's what the big companies need to do. Maybe they're not doing enough of. I'm surprised, but see, sometimes what happens is this UNA becomes very rote. And so I understand, UNA kitna baar karega? I mean, I just sat through a 4 hour meeting on Friday on a company which has done, which does a brand tracking study, but they've said, let's pull back and do. And after going through that long, it took 6 months, 6 months of research we've gone through. What have we learned? I was saying, look, what is the key thing we've learned? Right? We've spent a ton load of money. We spent a lot of time. We need to capture what is the key thing we've learned which we didn't know before, or what have we learned which we suspected but we got it reconfirmed. if that is not there, this whole 6 month exercise is a waste, right? And we put on that. I said, look, this is coming out of this. Right now, let's at the next step, how are we going to use it in our branding, in our communication? So, there are two problems. One is what you said. Oh, we know everything about the consumer. We've done UNA many times in the past. Nothing comes out. The other can even be, why do you need to UNA? You have so much data available. Scrape Google reviews. Scrape all the other social media platforms. We will know what consumer is saying about us. We'll know what consumer is saying about our competition. In fact, we thought, at SPJN last week, we sat through a presentation by a by someone who works in one of these large, I think Amazon or somewhere, and he shared, how to look at reviews, how to analyze reviews, what you can get out of the reviews, right? Uh, so you get a lot of stuff, but you may not if you're working in a product category like skincare, you will get a lot from these reviews. But you're working in a product category like fabric care or floor care, you may not get much, right? So you need to draw the line that digital data, I will take a look at, but I will not get obsessed by it. So Fortune 500 companies have a different set of problems. The Bhopal Masala man will have a different set of problem. The toy startup will have a different set of problems, and of course B2B will have a different set of problems. The idea is this book, whoever you are, wherever you're coming from, uh, to the Fortune 500 guy, this will be a quick refresher. You'll probably, you can read it in one trip to Delhi and back. You've read it and you've underlined certain things in it, and you know what to take back and what to apply to your business. To the masala manufacturer, you may read it, go back and read it one more time, read it a third time, and then maybe implement something from there. So each person will use the book somewhat differently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the five myths of branding, people, the fact that we consider it to be expensive or complicated, or there are no financial returns, or it's very long term, think again. Think again on this. There are ways about it. Like you've shared, that whole mindset is required where, like you were talking, you went and talked to a retailer, or you talk to the salesperson. What's really happening? Just keeping your ears on the ground if something has shifted and you need to take into
Yeah, yeah. Dorab, after reading my book, was telling me that you're given too much importance to, going and talking to customers, because you will never be able to meet the average customer. You're going to meet some customer and you're going to form a biased impression. I said, I want them. Right? The problem today is a lot of people look at their computer and they think they know their customer, right? But you have to go and actually meet the customer, and with a caveat that what the customer you're meeting may not be your average customer. So be ready for that. Don't assume every customer is going to behave the same way. You may get to meet maybe 5 customers or 10 customers, uh, but they may not be the typical customer. So, but you got to you got to be ready to, dirty your sleeves and go and actually work in the market. I don't know how many. I mean, at one time, just Ravi, you would say that at one time a lot of companies used to insist that you got to spend 6 days in the market, 7 days in the market. I don't know what it is like today, but if they don't do that, you're not going to be a good marketing guy.
Unilever used to do that, Ambi, soap boxes. So the marketer could just use the recruiter agency and go visit the consumer in their house and see how is the soap placed, what kind of bathroom they have, and like you've talked about, dressing up the house with Dove, and so all these nuances will come only if you go and witness there, and what meaning they associate with different aspects. Some lightning round questions for you. One big mistake marketers should make early in their career.
Bet on a crazy idea, right? If it fails, it fails. If it succeeds, you become the superhero.
And if it fails, there's nothing to lose. It's early in your career. Okay. What's one skill every marketer must master now to stay indispensable in the AI powered world?
I think every marketer has to learn how to use the AI tools. And so this whole thing about prompt engineering is something which a marketer should know. It's a bit like all of us from my generation had to learn how to use PowerPoint, how to use Excel. Now the next generation will have to say, do you know how to use AI? Do you know how to use do Python programming, whatever, right? You need to know that. Without that, the guy sitting in your next cabin will be able to get ahead of you, right? If you say no, I will not use AI tools because AI, what is AI? AI helps you cut down a lot and improves your efficiency dramatically, right? Um, and there is a danger. I mean, you spent time on advertising. In my early days in advertising, the only job an AE was supposed to do was to take notes and write the minutes of the meeting. Right now, today, that job can be given to AI. When the meeting is going on, you can keep your little mobile phone on, it can record everything. And at the end of the conversation, you can convert it into, you can feed it into an AI bot and you will get the minutes. But the problem is the minutes will have some mistakes, right? And if you've not been paying attention, those mistakes can cause a problem. Like we were having a discussion with a group of doctor, etc. And somewhere I mentioned the name, Dr. Ramani said this to me, blah, blah, blah. In the minutes, it said Dr. Ramani said this. Now, it looks as if Dr. Ramani was in the meeting. He was not in the meeting. I mentioned Dr. Ramani's name, but AI misunderstood that. So, like this, AI will make mistakes. So, you got to be paying attention. And when the AI written minutes come to you, you should be able to correct it. And that's what you'll be evaluated on, right? Which is like I give this exercise to my, SPJ, SPJMR students saying, take a brand, ask, ask a ChatGPT, what is the cultural significance of this brand, right? And in 200 words. Then look at the 200 words and critique it in 200 words because there will be mistakes. AI will not cover everything. Whereas you, if you spend 3 hours on the net searching, researching, you will be able to do something better, right? But then you have to read this and critique it. I mean, for example, when we ask AI on Parle G, it talks about Parle G, important Parle, but nowhere was it mentioned that Parle actually has managed to register not just the brand name Parle G, but including the yellow stripes on the pack, the little baby on all this is registered. So no one can copy them because they had a huge counterfeit problem for many years. Right? At that point, AI doesn't seem to know. Like this, you will find in every brand, AI will miss out something. Your job is to find that. And they used to find it a little challenging, but I had to tell them you do it.
Now, I want to know what's one universal truth about how winning brands are weaving AI into their DNA. Somewhere in your BE, brand equity conversations, you have discussed this. Would you like to share anything about it?
Well, each company is having its own path. I was told that, for example, in Nestle, any brand presentation has to have a AI component. That the person who's presenting has to say, I've used AI for this, or I'm planning to use AI for this, right? Some companies are lagging behind. And I know of some companies last year when I was talking to them, they were not allowing the use of AI because they say, look, we don't know if we upload a market research report onto AI, will it stay with us or will it be used by the ChatGPT for other purposes? ChatGPT keeps giving assurances that if you upload anything on a paid account, it will not be used, but we don't know, right? They say whatever we use it only for training purpose, but we don't know. It may be used for, you know, we are discussing on hammam, and tomorrow someone sitting in Godrej searches, asks for hammam data. I'll already give out all the hammam data, right? Which is a bit of a problem. So some companies have been very very wary of using AI. So it depends on the company. I mean, depends on where you want to use it, how you want to use it. Is it to understand consumers. Is it to, is it, are you going to use AI to look at a report and give you a top line, highlights of the report? Or do you want AI to do your research for you and pull out stuff with at least first step, right? Later you have to do it yourself, but at least the first pass, you get a pretty good analysis. A lot of obvious answers,
Yeah.
yeah, but good analysis.
Can be a good brainstorm partner, initial brainstorms. Yeah.
I think this guy told me very clearly, you treat AI as your management trainee.
Hmm. Yeah.
Only thing, management trainee without any attitude. So the poor
Yes.
trainee can keep repeating the same task 100 times.
A lot of enthusiasm and will ask in the end, shall I do this also? Shall
Yeah.
I give you three more ideas? Okay. What's the line between AI driven personalization and overreach that creeps out the consumer? And how can marketers stay on the right side of that line?
Consumer is in a kind of a quandary, right? Consumer is wanting you to personalize stuff. But when you over personalize, you get into a problem. The old case of, uh, I think this was, I forget which brand it was, probably Tesco, which had a, uh customer relationship program. And when the company actually knew someone in the house was pregnant, and and it sent out messages about, vitamins for pregnant women, and
The
the
teenager.
head of the household said, why are you sending this kind of message to me? Because no one in my house is pregnant. And it turned out that his teenage daughter was actually pregnant. And it became a big case in the US some years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And the company could prove that no individual had access to this information. It was all machine driven. And therefore, the court actually threw out the case, and they, sided with the company. But that's one example, right? You get shocked. With AI, a lot more such things can happen. I can, like in Minority Report, I can actually predict that, your coffee is running low, you need to buy some coffee, or, you're feeling manic depressive, don't go near the window, stay away from the window, whatever, right? So, uh, companies have to be watchful. Companies have to be listening to their consumers a lot more, and companies have to, draw their guardrails on what we should do and what we should not do. There is a book called Chaos Machine, which talks about how, both Meta and YouTube are maximizing attention. As a result, if you, let's say, watch one cat video, they'll keep giving you a cat video, and they'll take you into a rabbit hole of cat videos. Same thing applies to any other thing. So that's the way they know that they can grab your attention, keep it. So that's a problem. That's a big problem. But we don't have a solution yet to that. The companies have to be watchful of that.
This is rapid fire. Mother's best advice.
Read
Alternate profession could have been.
films,
What would you do on Mars for fun?
jump
As per your wife, your most often used phrase.
next time.
One thing no one knows about you.
I'm a shy person.
A book you'd like to gift to your friends cannot be your own.
Discover India.
What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Uh, Take risks.
If you were to devote the rest of your life to philanthropy, what cause would you choose?
Teach, teach, teach.
How would you like strangers to remember you?
He tried.
What's a lesson that took you a long time to learn?
Swimming.
What's one missed opportunity you wish you could have a second chance at?
Embrace more sports.
What's next?
I don't know.
What's your jagged edge?
I'm brutally open.
Hmm.
I give very. I can't hide feedback. That's been my problem. My colleagues used to also tell me the same thing. Please pick up a copy of the book, enjoy it, whether you're a young executive looking for a break in marketing, or you are a masala manufacturer, or if you are a marketing manager, hopefully you will find the book easy read and a fun read. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Ambi,
Yasrab,
how can people reach you? Any online addresses, email?
LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn. I am quite active on LinkedIn. I think you're doing a great job talking to people, getting feedback, and I think people should listen to you, watch you, and subscribe to your show. So Jagged with Just Ravi is a kind of a quirky, like my masala mix. It's a kind of a quirky title, and I wish you and your podcast and video series all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambi. It was a privilege to have you on the show. Thank you.